Hi everybody, Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors. And today's contract tip is a quick tip, just has to do with agent signatures. So you have a contract, you're working with a buyer or a seller, your party has signed, you've signed it, you send it to the co-op agent, and they get their party to sign it, but they don't sign the contract. What do? Doesn't matter. So that is an issue for whatever reason. We seem to be experiencing our agents not signing contracts, amendments, exhibits, so forth and so on. So first, you need to ask yourself, who is a party to the contract? The buyer and the seller are the parties to the contract. So if you have a buyer and a seller signature on a document, on the purchase and sale agreement, on a counter offer, on an amendment, so forth and so on, then those terms are enforceable upon the parties because they have demonstrated their agreement to whatever provisions are on that document. So why do you even have to sign it? What does an agent/broker's signature mean when you guys sign a purchase and sale agreement or an amendment? Well, I will tell you what it means. It is spelled out in the GAR contract, the Georgia Association of Realtors contract, the purchase and sale agreement, Form F-201, under the brokerage paragraph, which is paragraph C10B. Under that paragraph, it talks about brokerage and what that means, and it references a buyer brokerage agreement. It references a seller brokerage agreement. But when it specifically talks about signatures, at the very bottom of that paragraph, it states the brokers herein, and again, also in the contract, it defines brokers as also being synonymous with affiliated licensee. The brokers herein are signing the agreement to reflect their role in the transaction and consent to act as holder if either of them is named as such. This agreement and any amendment thereto shall be enforceable even without the signature of any broker referenced herein. The brokers are express third-party beneficiaries to this agreement. So what does that mean when it says they agree, their signature reflects their role in the transaction? What on earth is a broker's role in the transaction? Where do you find that? How do you know? Well, we're under the brokerage section. So the broker's role in the transaction is reflected in the brokerage section of the purchase and sale agreement. So on the first page of the purchase and sale agreement at the very bottom, so under paragraph A10, it defines the brokerage relationships in the transaction. Buyer's broker is blank, and you fill out the name of the brokerage, and is 1, representing the buyer as a client, 2, representing the buyer as a customer, 3, acting as a dual agent representing the buyer and the seller, C, acting as a designated agent where blank has been exclusively assigned to represent the buyer. And the next section of that, paragraph 10B, is seller's broker is, you fill in the name of the brokerage, representing seller as a client, seller as a customer, dual agent representing both buyer and the seller, or a designated agent in the name of the agent representing the buyer versus the seller. So when it talks about signatures and it says your signature reflects your relationship in the agreement, let me read it again exactly how it states it. It says your signature reflects your role in the transaction. Your role in the transaction is defined in the brokerage section by, is your role that of a client? Is the seller or buyer your client or your customer? So basically, your signature affirms the client relationship versus the customer relationship versus the designated agency relationship versus the dual agency relationship. And if your broker is the holder of the earnest money, your signature, because you are an affiliated licensee of your broker. So when your broker agrees to have you come on board with their firm, and if they give you signing authority to sign contracts in their name, then if your broker is nominated or is elected as the holder of the earnest money, your broker also allows you to sign on their behalf saying, yes, if the broker is the holder of the earnest money, then you are obligating your broker to fulfill all the responsibilities and duties of holder as outlined in the purchase and sale agreement. So that's all an agent's / broker's signature does. So again, now I do have one caveat to this. We did have a contract last year where we could not get the co-op agent or co-op broker's signature on anything, on the purchase and sale agreement, any amendments, any exhibits, nothing. We did have a problem with that. And even though it was enforceable between the buyer and the seller contract-wise, the buyer's lender was not going to be the ultimate servicer of the loan. The buyer's lender was going to sell the loan, sell the servicing of the loan. They could not sell the loan without the contract being signed by both brokerages involved. So that is the one and only time where that did become an issue, where an agent or a broker's signature was required. And the contract actually ended up terminating, and it was a little bit long and drawn out, but the contract actually did terminate because the listing broker / agent would never sign the contract. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. What agent and broker signatures actually mean. Terms are enforceable, but might be an issue for a buyer's lender. So something to check out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, satisfying your needs with service, innovation, and education.